So we have 3 kids right now, with one more due in March, so our 4th is on the way. We have a fairly small house, so right now all of our kids actually share one bedroom, one space. And so we actually just recently did kind of a kids bedroom makeover, and so we're going to share in this video sort of our top tips and takeaways of creating a minimal shared space for kids. So for a while now, our kids have been asking for bunk beds, which sounds really awesome and fun. And then it was kind of the perfect storm of events. So one night, Mommy and our oldest daughter were sitting on her bed. She had just a twin bed, and I decided to go sit down on it with them, and then crack, and we all came tumbling down. I guess I sat right where there was a weak spot in the bed frame, and it broke, and we crashed down to the ground, and it was kind of traumatic for our daughter. But it was also meant it was the right time to reconsider her bed and really just the whole kids layout. And we also, with one new baby on the way, it was kind of just the right time.
Yeah, so they were already sharing a room, but we knew Christmas was coming up. They'd been asking for bunk beds, so we thought, you know what, now is the time.
Welcome
so
to
as
the
kind of
room.
their big Christmas present, we did a little room makeover and surprised them, and that was really fun.
It's fun! Can I get up? Yes! Ooh!
So we had been keeping an eye out for bunk beds, mainly like on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and just seeing what would come up. And we didn't really have an idea of exactly what we wanted, but we knew when we saw it, we would know that it was the right thing. And so one day, actually, these free bunk beds came up. They were already like disassembled, and somebody just wanted them gone, and they were totally free. And so Joelle was like, "Go get them!" And I was like, "All right." So drove the van over, loaded up the back, and brought home the bunk beds.
And that was the beginning of our kids' bedroom makeover. But along the way, we really, it just made us consider kind of what our values were and how we could create this kind of minimal space that our kids could share that would be just a really good situation for all of us. All right, so our first tip for creating a minimal shared kids' bedroom is to spend money on the things that are the most important to you. So one of the things that's really the most important to us is health and quality of life for our family, for our kids. And so the big thing that we spent a lot of money on, and really the only thing that we spent money on in this whole remodel, was their mattress. And so prior, we had gotten a new mattress for ourselves, and before we made that purchase, we had spent quite a long time researching different mattress companies, trying to find what's going to be the best natural mattress option out there that's kind of both price point and quality, the best bang for our buck that we could get. And that is when we discovered My Green Mattress. And so we purchased a My Green mattress for our bed a few years back, and we've loved it. It's been really, really good. And so we went ahead and we purchased 2 My Green mattresses for both our kids' beds, for their new bunk beds, for the top and bottom bunk. And so that was really the big thing that we spent money on. Now, when it came to basically everything else in their room, furniture, bunk beds, all of that is used. A lot of it is secondhand from our bedrooms when we were kids, or things that, like the bunk beds that we found free on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. Even things like the comforters and blankets on their beds. I was really tempted to just run out to Target and get like the cutest thing I saw, but instead we kind of talked about it and we're like, wait, we have this really nice quilt that got handed down from my grandma that would go really well in their room. Like, couldn't we just use that? And then Jim had a comforter that was his when he was a kid that his mom had given us. And so we just kind of pieced together these things that we had already had, and that really put together their whole bedroom, and they love it. Like they love it. They're not asking for anything different. And so it's really been great. So we feel really good about where they're sleeping and the mattress quality and everything else. We didn't spend any money on, so it's like a brand new bedroom, but really cost effective with putting money where our values are.
Yeah, and we feel really good about putting money into something like a mattress that will directly impact our health. And I remember several years ago, before we bought our mattress and we were kind of looking into mattress options, I listened to a podcast and the host made the comment of, he said, like, it just blows my mind that somebody would spend, like, however many thousands of dollars on like a luxury vehicle that they're only going to be in for maybe an hour every day, if that, and yet they'll go out and buy like the cheap mattress, from the store on the corner or something like that, and sleep on that for 8 hours a day, every day of their lives. And when we heard that, we were kind of like, yeah, like that's the place we want to be investing our money in terms of bedrooms and sleeping space. Like that's really, like your quality of sleep and the thing that your, like body is directly on and touching 8 hours a day is something that we want to really invest our dollars in.
Yeah, we'll put a link below to My Green Mattress so you can check them out if you're interested, but we've been really happy with their mattresses.
Yeah, and so the second tip is to really maximize your space. And so one of the ways to really do that well is to have a lot of built-in storage and things. So the bunk bed that we found and we got, that was one of the things that really stood out. We didn't really have like a set style of bunk bed, but this one has a built-in trundle bed. So underneath, there's actually 3 beds in it. Underneath the bottom bunk, there's a whole nother twin bed that can pull out. So that's great for like future sleepovers, or if we have a guest or something like that, we have a whole extra bed that we can just pull out with that. And then there's also like a little dresser built in under the stairs. And so a lot of bunk beds kind of have that feature if they have built-in stairs. And so we really liked that.
Yeah, some other areas where we just try to maximize our space. So we have actually, after our first daughter was out of the crib, we went the route of a toddler bed. So a lot of people at that point will just jump straight from a crib to a twin bed once they kind of transition, that it's like, okay, well, they're gonna get in a twin bed anyway, so let's just make that leap now. But we have really been happy with sticking to that toddler bed for those like in between years. Because they're small, they're just the size of a crib mattress. They don't take up a ton of space, and we've gotten a lot of use out of the out of the toddler beds that we have used before. So our daughter used it, now our son is using it, and I'm sure then it's going to be passed on to him. And that's been really a good transition too. Not only does it not take up as much space in the bedroom, but it's kind of just that in between while he's still isn't totally potty trained at night, that he's still in kind of this toddler bed that's not going to be his long-term bed, that it's just a good transition place.
Yeah, toddler beds are a lot more waterproof generally, which especially in that potty training stage helps. You don't want to like put them on a brand new mattress or something like that.
And if like saving space is kind of the thing you're trying to do, toddler beds just take up way less space.
Yeah, for sure. And even just storage beds in general, like we don't have one of those in the kids' room, but we actually have one in our room where our bed has like storage compartments built in, and there's a lot of different options out there for that. Even like a lofted bed, there's so many cool like lofted beds with like these like play spaces or like school workspaces built in underneath, where you can really maximize space with a lofted bed. And then something else, so we haven't gotten this yet, this is still Christmas present for the kids, so we're going to keep it on the down low and hopefully they don't hear us, but we're getting them, or grandma and grandpa are getting them a nugget couch bed type thing, seat thing. It's kind of like a couch that can fold into a lot of different uses. And so that too is just this really like flexible, versatile, like multi-purpose piece of furniture. It could kind of be a toy, a play space, just kind of a lounging hangout space for them, all in one. And so we're excited about that for their room too.
Yeah, we like things that are versatile, right? That they have multiple uses, are practical in a number of ways, work really well in small spaces.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then the third thing is staying organized. It's super important if you're creating kind of this minimal shared kids bedroom to stay organized. So some of the things that have been the most helpful for us is just making sure everything has a place, right? So if every clothing item, every toy, everything in their bedroom needs to have a place. And then kind of going along with that, at the end of the night, every day, it's kind of just our routine, our habit to pick everything up and put everything away. So there's not clothes lingering on the floor from the night before. There's not toys that are left about. At the end of the night, we pick everything up. for the kids, pick everything up, put everything away. And then it just really helps create this nice, clean space to start the day so things don't feel cluttered. But a big part of that, like I mentioned earlier, is just making sure everything has a place so that picking up stuff really isn't that hard. It feels like a pretty easy task to do.
And we just make that like part of our nightly routine. Like we eat dinner, and then while we're doing the dishes and cleaning up from dinner, the kids go and clean up their rooms and their spaces. And it's just kind of, you create that expectation that like that's the thing that everyone does. We all clean up after dinner to get ready for bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then going along with that, I think another part of kind of that staying organized piece, just one of the things that we found helpful is kids just have a tendency to accumulate things like stuffed animals and blankets, things, dolls, things that are really fun to get over time, but then finding a place for those. So our kind of rule of thumb is whatever you can fit on your bed with you, great, that can stay there. You can sleep there, your animals can sleep there with you. But as soon as it starts expanding beyond the bed, onto the floor or onto other areas, then it's time to make some cuts and something needs to go. So as long as it can fit with you on your bed and you are happy to live life that way, then that's great. You are more than welcome to have it there with you. But once it starts expanding beyond the bed, then something needs to go.
Yeah. And so that kind of leads into our next tip, which is to have these like seasonal purge sessions of your kids' rooms and spaces. And so like, let's face it, things are going to overflow over time. Like kids accumulate things and, they have art projects and they outgrow their clothes. And, our kids will like go out in nature and gather like sticks and feathers and pine cones, and then we'll find them stashed in their bedroom somewhere. And so these things just happen, and you can't keep everything contained. But we found it so helpful to have like seasonally, like at least every 6 months, maybe every 3 months would be better, but to go in and just have a purge session in their room and really clear out any clothes they've outgrown, clear out any of these toys and random things that have accumulated, art that is now they've outgrown it, or they're done with it and can go in the recycling bin, or whatever the case might be. You can kind of move on from some of these things and really create kind of this fresh, new, clean space for them.
But at the same time, maybe having some sort of box or tote or something that's their own where they can keep important things for them, where it's like, you don't have to throw everything out if that's important to you, but let's have a place where we can keep all of that really important memory stuff that you want to keep in one spot. So, just trying to have some sort of, designated box or tote or basket or something for all of that really important stuff to them to go. And then the stuff that's not so important, obviously can be gotten rid of. All right, and then the last thing to help create this minimal kid shared bedroom is really, it comes back to us, right? It comes back to setting the example ourselves and how we live and how we maintain our spaces and keep our stuff. So if we are setting the example of picking up our bedrooms or our living spaces at the end of the night, that's huge, right? What we do is what they will want to emulate. So if we have messy spaces and if we have stuff all over that's not kept up with, then why would it ever be motivating for them to put away their stuff in their bedroom at the end of the night? And so we try to stick to this and stay on top of our bedroom. I've really appreciated Jim has taken up making our bed every morning. And I feel like just setting these routines and habits that really help kind of create this uncluttered, minimal space and just this really kind of free feeling. And so that's a big part of what we've just tried to create in our own world, is staying on top of our own spaces and really just showing them kind of this respect for the items and the possessions that we have by appreciating them, by valuing them, by putting them away at the end of the day, as opposed to just kind of teaching them that, things are important, things can be tossed and broken and, whatever, because we don't really care about them, but really bringing things into our home that we love and that we think are quality and then treating them that way.
Yeah, so we as parents are always just modeling values and lifestyle to our kids, right? So the less stuff that they see in our lives, the less stuff they're going to want in their own lives. And so we really just want to instill that value in them of kind of living minimally, that they appreciate and they value and respect the things that they have instead of just always wanting more. And so So that's really our tips. We ourselves never grew up, we both grew up having our own bedrooms and our own space. And so like moving into this unseen or unknown territory of, you know, kids having a shared room and shared space, it felt really scary and intimidating, and we were kind of like,
yeah, they're not gonna get any sleep. How is this gonna go?
We didn't have no idea how it would go, how it would even work at all. But it's actually been really great, and we've loved it. The kids have loved it. Like I don't know, we love just like kind of listening in on some of their interactions and playing and conversations and things, because they just really, I don't know, have done well and thrived as they are living together and like growing and developing together as siblings.
Mm-hmm. Bonding in unique ways.
Yeah, and having some really unique bonds and time together and memories made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what's been your experience with shared bedroom spaces, or what are you considering with them? We'd love to hear. Share it in the comments below. And thanks so much for stopping by the farmstead today, and we'll see you next time.